Go ahead, Chris.
TGIF, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new edition of HBCU Sports Live, aka the Roundtable. We are here today on a Friday to give you guys the latest in Black college sports news, as we always do. Of course, I am Chris Stevens. Ken Rashad is in the background taking care of some business right now, and we got Jared Hoffman in the building as well. Jared, how are you on this Friday afternoon?
Hey man, it is what it is. No, yeah. I'm good. It's cool. You know, it's still cold outside, so still wait for it to warm up. Still got ice all over the roads, all over the sidewalks. Ain't nobody coming shovel nothing. So, but hey, we out here making it.
Yep.
It's still icing where you guys are?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the ice is the snow is not melted yet.
Not at all.
It is currently 80 degrees in Dallas right now. I just want to say 80 degrees. Yes, it is nice. I'm loving it. I'm not gonna even lie to you. Welcome to another edition of HBCU Sports. Hey, just so you guys know, we're not going to show anything because we know we started a little late, but you know things came up and we had some stuff to do. But let's just say that we're not going to show you any graphics. But this episode of HBCU Sports Live is brought to you by HBCU Sports 101, a guide to understanding Black college athletics. It is the ultimate guide, suitable for beginners, intermediates, and even experts in the world of HBCUs and HBCU sports. This is a must-have, and it's a very good read. You can get your signed copy by going to to kenrashad.com, and there are bundles. You can get a signed copy for the exact same price that you can get it on Amazon, Walmart, Barnes and Noble, and any other place where books are sold, and it's not going to be signed. So go to kenrashad.com, get your signed copy with the bundle and all that good stuff, and I'll make sure I'll take care of you. And Chris has got a book too.
Yes, I have a book called A Widower's Gift. Let me find the link to that. It is a romance novel, and if you guys missed Ken Rashad reading a excerpt from it from our New Year's Eve live podathon, you can go back and check those bit of shenanigans out. But if you want to read it for yourself, you can click this link, which I'm about to put in the chat and on the screen.
Just as a disclaimer, don't have kids around when you watch the video.
Yes, don't have kids
around.
Yes, this was an NC-17 reading of a adult fiction book, adult romance. But yes, if you guys go click that link, you can buy a copy in digital download. And don't forget, when you read the book, as Ken Rashad will tell you, reviews are important. So if you've read this book, please leave a review. You can leave a review directly on the website that is in the description. And so that's my book.
All right. So we paid all the bills. We've gotten all of that. Let's go ahead and get to the news of the moment. We are going to start. Let's start with this story here, because this has been an interesting one with respect to Tuskegee and Morehouse. Chris, you provided details on the last update as to where we are with this situation. Please give us the latest.
Well, yes, Morehouse's president, F. Dubois Bowman, released a statement within the Morehouse community, but Kyle Mosley of HBCU Legends was able to obtain a copy, probably through the FOIA Act, because Kyle is a top flight journalist like the rest of us. He does his work. And the statement pretty much says that the president, Dr. Bowman, was in the building. He said, in so many words, he didn't see anything wrong with the Morehouse players fraternizing within the handshake line, and that while he wants to agree with the way the SIAC investigated, he felt the fine and the findings were without Morehouse's input were not fair, and that he wants the SIAC to reconsider the fine, which I think is silly.
Jared, you had an interesting take on this.
Yeah, I called it the statement an empty statement, and it absolutely was an empty statement. And they're lucky that those are the words that I chose to use, because I could have used a much stronger words to describe it. Yep. Here's my problem, and if you didn't see me speak about this yesterday, or when I spoke about it, then here's why I call it an empty statement. One, I understand that they said because of legal proceedings that they can't divulge certain information. Understood. However, condemning the actions of the officer is not something that you need to have legal precedent to speak about. It's okay to say that the officer could have done better in that circumstance than to detain Coach Benji Taylor in that moment when it was unnecessary. To say that the actions were unnecessary, unacceptable, and we will do better moving forward so that we don't have to deal with this mess going further is not something that you... Now, in the grand scheme of things, yes, it kind of does hurt you when it comes to court proceedings because you're admitting guilt. But saying that the situation could have been handled better, that's not too much to ask. That's one thing. Number two, I understand you want to back your players, but at the end of the day, you threw Coach Benji Taylor under the bus. You threw him completely under the bus by saying, I didn't see anything that warranted that was outside of the scope of any basketball game. Basically saying that Coach Taylor overreacted. That's basically what you're saying. First of all, shout out to Mr. 32K with the donation.
Appreciate you, brother. Let me show you. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Go ahead. And I know what Mr. 32K is talking about, but we can't go on that because that's a hearsay type of thing. We'll talk about that offline, guys.
Yeah, either way. But yeah, so what you're basically saying by saying I didn't see anything that was outside of anything in a normal basketball game is saying you're basically saying that he overreacted. He reacted in a way that led to the officer detaining him and escorting him off the floor. That's basically what you're saying. And if you want that theory to be proven, then why not release full video of the events that led up to it?
I guess I want to know I just want to know why was the statement, why was it an internal statement? Why wasn't the statement just released?
Right. If you felt this strongly, then why not release it to the public? And then you said that you reached out to Coach Taylor and Tuskegee after the incident happened and you apologized. Well, from what I've heard, that's not true. From what I've heard, well into this week, Morehouse hadn't said anything to Tuskegee or to Coach Taylor. That's what I've heard. Now, maybe my intel is wrong. Maybe they're misremembering events. But what reason would they have to lie about that?
So let me play devil's advocate. Can you find or can you think of any justified reason why the football players were there?
Hell no.
I'm dead serious. Can you guys think of how, is there any justifiable reason why one would think that this was nothing more than just a big misunderstanding?
I can't think of a reason because I mean, we've had times. I mean, Delaware State has had some interesting moments on the basketball floor. Like, I never forget the time Greg Jackson and Fang Mitchell were literally yelling at each other at half court, and the referee was, leaned over the scorer's table as Fang and Greg are yelling at each other. But during the handshake line, no, I mean, we've had storm the court situations during my time at Delaware State as a student, but never did the football players, the volleyball players, the soccer players, the baseball players, softball players. Nobody ever jumped in a handshake line, ever. So what the Morehouse football players did, and yes, WSSU Ram Nation, they do need a coach, because a coach would not allow.
Still have not announced any candidates list or nothing.
Because that would not, a coach would not allow this foolishness to happen. And it's disappointing that Morehouse seems to be doubling down on the shenanigans when the only footage that you need to see is Coach Taylor calmly talking to this security officer, and the security officer just turns him around and slaps the cuffs on him. Like if Coach Taylor called his mama a you know what or something, okay, fine, he earned that. But if he's saying, I have concerns about these big giant football players in the middle of my handshake line, then I don't think that warrants slapping the cuffs on a guy. I don't see that. I don't see anything about Benji Taylor's body language. I can't read lips very well, but I don't think he cursed. And so he's just basically saying, can you get these guys out of the line so I can get my guys back to the locker room safe? And he's escorted off the court in handcuffs. It's absurd. It's absolutely absurd.
So you got an institution who doesn't have a football coach, whose football team goes into the handshake line for a game they didn't play. And you have a coach who's actually trying to protect his players, because we know how these things can escalate, intentionally or not. And he's arrested. Make it make sense.
Everything about this situation, they have handled this horribly. They have handled every part of this situation horribly. I don't even see what the purpose of publishing a statement was if it was going to be this.
Thank you.
Especially if it was internal.
Why though? Why post an internal state? Why not? I don't get it. I honestly don't get it. What did they think? What were they hoping to accomplish with this statement? I honestly don't know.
As the kids say, keep it cute or leave it on the playground. It's really that simple. You could have left that statement on the playground. Because
another thing that I just thought about that irks me is he said that there was nothing outside of what you see at a normal basketball game. That's not for you to determine.
No.
And even if, let's just say for the sake of argument, it is. Everybody's reaction to what happens at a normal basketball game is not the same.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't say that my reaction is not warranting because it's something that happens at every normal basketball game. For prime example, right? If I told Chris that he was stupid and it doesn't bother him, and then I told somebody else it was stupid and they slapped me in the face and said, don't call me stupid, who's in the wrong? Both of us, basically, because you don't have any right to put your hands on me, but I have no right to call you stupid. And I have no right to think that I can call you stupid just because I got away with it with somebody else. Just because you get away with that normal activities at a basketball game with other people, don't think that everybody is just going to take that and say, oh, this just happens at every normal basketball game.
Which it doesn't.
It's right. Exactly. Right. Exactly. Basically saying that everybody else was a pushover and they let us do whatever we want at these basketball games. But we had this one guy that wasn't taking none of our mess. And because his reaction is different from what we get from other teams, we detained him and escorted him off the court when it was completely unnecessary.
Well, obviously, this is a situation that I'm not going to say it isn't going to end anytime soon, but whatever the ending result of this will be remains to be unknown at this point and unseen. So we will see what happens with this. Let's move forward to news coming out of Nashville. And we've learned that Tennessee State has added Richard Dent to the football staff. And as I understand it, this isn't just as more of a coaching role, but this is also more kind of as a PR guy too, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep.
And given where we are right now with NIL deals and so forth, I say this is a pretty righteous ad. What is he going to be on a staff as an actual assistant? He's going to be an actual assistant.
I think it's more of like an administrative role.
Okay. But this is likely going to be for fundraising.
Yeah.
And obviously he's got football acumen. He's the MVP. But and by the way, I'm looking at this image. My man is wearing kangaroos. Y'all don't remember kangaroos, huh?
I've heard of them, but I had never seen them until you just pointed that out in the picture.
Put that in the chat. Y'all don't remember kangaroos, man? I just realized my man is wearing kangaroos.
Wow.
Some of y'all look. I guess I'm updating myself. Anyway, so Chris, what are your thoughts about this? Richard Dent going to Tennessee State.
The sack man's coming. I'm your man Dent. Quarterback. This is Super Bowl's best friend. Super Bowl shuffle. I had to just say his line real quick. But I think this is a smart move by Reggie Barlow and Dr. Mikey Allen and the Tennessee State administration. You got to start reaching back out to your legends and have them serve in some capacity. And I think having a guy like Richard Dent, who's not, he's 65, but it's not like Richard Dent is so far removed from his glory days that, it's not like you would have like a guy who played during, the civil rights era and people can say, oh, wow, he played at HBCU. No, Richard Dent was one of Coach Merritt's last great players. And the Coach Merritt era was not that far away. I mean, he took that up until his last year, and he passed away not too long after that, I believe. He had Tennessee State in the FCS playoffs, and Richard Dent was a part of those teams. So you got a guy who had success at your school. He was a part of the Monsters of the Midway, still one of the nastiest defenses to ever do it, and had a really nice career for himself in the NFL. So you need a guy like that who's still, he can lean on the old days, but he can still be up to speed with what's going on today. So you bring in a guy like Richard Dent. I think it's a smart move, and I wish more HBCUs would sort of trend towards that, regardless whether it's football or basketball.
Jared?
Yeah, I love it for Tennessee State. It shows that Reggie Barlow is open to new things, because this is a relatively new concept, bringing guys to be an advisor for your football program, who is a program legend, one of 3 HBCU players to win a Super Bowl MVP, in addition to, I think he was the first, because I think he got his before Jerry Rice and Doug Williams got theirs. So a guy who has made history in the NFL, knows what it takes to have success at the pro level, went through the grind of college, and so I think it'll not only do wonders for the program, but it'll do wonders for the players who are going to be in that locker room, to learn from a guy who has done it, to learn from a guy who not only did it, but succeeded at the highest level. Like you said, one of the greatest defenses of all time, and he was the MVP of that Super Bowl. That tells you a lot about how good he was back in his day. So I love this move for the program. I love it for the players, and I'm looking forward to see how this works out.
Yeah, man, this is can't really find anything bad to say about this move, and we'll see if it actually pays off. Moving on, and I'm gonna take a step back just real quick, because I'm just so you guys know, I'm kind of like handling some things in the back end for the show because we got a late start, so I apologize for that. But I think we need to go ahead and talk about the comments recently made by one journalist who covers HBCUs, and in a tweet that kind of like, well, to be quite honest, I think pissed some HBCU folks off. And it comes from Stan Becton. And I don't know if he necessarily meant anything about this, by this. I don't know if he necessarily expected there would be any blowback. And I've met Stan once in Atlanta, I think it was during the MEXWAC challenge. And real nice guy, covers sports, or covers the HBCUs for the NCAA. But he recently put out a tweet last week in which he says, you got HBCUs playing D2 and NAIA schools when Chicago State and Sacramento State are out here still looking for opponents to fill a schedule. It's one thing if the D2 teams is a rival, but non-D2 rival games are ridiculous. What do you guys think he meant by saying that?
I think he misunderstands the nature of scheduling college football games, for one, because when you think about this, for one, Sacramento State, they don't belong to a conference right now. They have been trying to move up to, I think, whatever is going on out west with FBS for a while now, but the FBS is not interested in Sacramento State, and the Big Sky does not want them back. So that's a problem for Sacramento State. But why do HBCUs have to be the ones to solve that problem? And Chicago State, and we've had Bobby Rome on the show, and Coach Rome, he probably has an idea of who he wants on his schedule. He already knows. And the fact that Chicago State is already a member of the Northeastern Conference means that their schedule is going to be filled out in 2027 anyway. 2026, this is their provisional year. 2027, they will be a full NEC member. So it's pointless to put this on HBCUs when for the longest time, the University of Delaware played Westchester, a Division II. I'll never forget, they finally said, after beating Westchester 84-0, I can't remember what year it was. I think it was either my senior year of high school or my freshman year at Delaware State. But I know UD beat Westchester 84-0, and Westchester said, we can't do this no more. And UD said, fair enough. Then that was that. But Division II, Division I games have gone on for years. And I'm just not a fan of, everybody coming down on HBCU D1s for scheduling D2s and NAIAs when there are still rivalries there. There are still rivalries there. I mean, for crying out loud, Kentucky State should have beat Grambling last year. Sorry, Ken. But it happens. I mean, and Jared Hoffman, he knows, because didn't Bowie State beat Delaware State a couple years ago? I was there for that game. I remember. So, I mean, it's not that wide of a gulf for a D2 to compete with a Division I. Clark Atlanta beat Bethune-Cookman on a 55-yard field goal the season before last. So we gotta stop, with this white gaze BS of, oh wow, we HBCUs are the only ones who schedule D2s and NAIAs, and it's like, have you watched any college football over the last 10, 15 years? Because you haven't. If you think we're just the only ones doing it. Well, Adrian, we'll get to that story in a minute, bro. Don't worry. Don't you worry.
And here's my thing, right? And this is another thing I've already talked about, so I'm just reiterating my thoughts that I've already put out there. My biggest problem with this: stop generalizing HBCUs as if we only play at one level.
Thank you.
We play at the FCS level. We play at the D2 level. We play at the NAIA level. We have HBCUs that compete in the USCCAA. There are HBCUs at multiple levels. Stop grouping us as if we're only at one level. You got D2s playing HBCUs playing D2s, because there's D2s that are also HBCUs. Virginia State, Albany State, Savannah State, Johnson C. Smith, Winston-Salem State, Bowie State,
Virginia Union, Benedict. Some of those teams have beaten your FCS schools, by the way. So that's the first thing. Stop grouping us as if it's only HBCUs at one level. The second thing, and Chris alluded to it, since when was it the HBCU's responsibility for Chicago State and Sacramento State filling out their schedule?
Yeah.
Since when was it our responsibility for whatever FCS school that ain't filled out their schedule to fill out their schedule? Sacramento State got whatever problems they got. That's Sacramento State's problem. Talk to their AD about that. That's not our fault. It's not our fault. What do you want us to do about that? And then there's people that want to say, oh, well, Jackson State 11 games. They should. Well, maybe that's because that's what they want to do. It's been working for them. So why would they change that? To appease a school that they have no need to fulfill whatever interest they have. What reason would they have to do that? So and then he says it's one thing if it's a D2 football team, if they're a rival, but now D2 rival games are ridiculous. Well, tell that to all the FCS schools that have lost to D2s. How about that? Tell them to get their weight up if these games are so ridiculous.
Hello.
And also, that's how you establish new rivalries, by playing new teams. I get it. You want it to be FCS versus FCS or whatever you want it to be. I can't tell. And I don't want hold on, let me pull back because I don't want to talk to Stan like he was malicious in this. And I said this yesterday. I don't think he was being malicious in this. But calling it spade a spade, this is I don't even know what to call it. It don't make sense to me. It don't make sense. If Sacramento State and Chicago State have problems filling out their schedules, you need to talk to their ADs. Chicago State gets a pass because they're entering their first season.
Literally year one. Yep.
This is literally year one for them. Sacramento State ain't got that excuse. You know what it takes to put together a schedule. You know how difficult it is. So putting that onus on HBCUs, when, by the way, there are plenty of other FCS schools who are in the area of Sacramento State that could have called them and said, we'll play against you. Or if they want to go FBS, call up them FBS schools, call up them Group of 5 schools and tell them to get on the schedule. Schedule that with them. Why it gotta be us? That don't make no sense.
This is the reason why. And I'm glad you guys preface this because this is not necessarily an attack on Stan, but Stan, you did you did say this publicly, so it's in the public space, and therefore it is for debate and up for discussion. And what I'm about to say may be something that may be considered maybe just a bridge too far, but I still think it's worth saying. To Black America, just because you are Black and didn't necessarily attend an HBCU, but just because you are Black doesn't necessarily give you the license to intelligently speak about HBCUs. Because we've seen people, especially those with platforms, who are Black, who have a platform, who are maybe fairly new, or maybe they have some familiarity with HBCU and its in the culture. And because it's so exciting to you, and it's so good to you, and you love it that it's just us, for us, about us, by us. And you're just pleased to be a part of that process, or you're pleased to be in that environment. And because you've experienced it a few times, you feel like you're justified to speak on it when something goes wrong. Stan Beckton, I don't think, went to an HBCU. And again, I'm not saying that they can't intelligently comment, but what I'm saying is that I've told you guys, man, and the media does this all the time. And people in general like to do this all the time. Everybody loves to make, whether it be a situation with one HBCU, They love to make it an HBCU problem. Something doesn't go right. It's an HBCU problem. And we've seen this time and time again. I don't know what Stan is implying, but he's wrong. Chris, your coach.
Mm-hmm.
Coach Jackson got it wrong.
Yeah, he did. He did.
Cam Newton.
Oh, hell yeah, he got it wrong.
He got it wrong. Deion Sanders, even while he was at Jackson State.
Oh, yeah.
Got it wrong. And you know what? Roland Martin has gotten it wrong. And for those of you who may not be aware of what I'm talking about, when he thought he was really saying something, and he foolishly tried to compare the revenue of Texas A&M, his alma mater, to that of the SWAC. He did this a couple of years ago, and I called his ass out on it. You don't compare the revenue of a Power 5 institution to that of an FCS football conference that has exhibited that it as it relates to financials, is probably one of the, I'm willing to bet, top 2, 3, 4, 5 conferences as it relates to revenue. Dr. Charles McClellan brags all the time about how this conference, or the SWAC conference, has sent out disbursements in ways that many mid-majors have not been able to do so. And quite naturally, Roland being, Roland, because, he thinks he's right about everything. He obviously tried to make it about alphas and kappas. Why he did that, I don't know. But the point of the matter is,
He's a weirdo.
He was wrong. So I'm not saying that you can't intelligently speak on it, because we've got administrators who work at HBCUs who didn't attend HBCUs, and they're just about they're about the business. And I think that's what you guys fail to realize. You guys being those Black folks who feel empowered to speak about the problems of HBCUs. Just like now more than ever, man, college athletics is a business. And whether you take issue with a team that plays an 11-game schedule, and I'll be honest with you, I personally would love to see a team, if they've got an opportunity to play a 12-game schedule, I want to see that. But I understand the reasons why they don't. Believe it or not, because Grambling released the schedule, and they too are playing an 11-game schedule this year. Jackson State has an 11-game schedule. I believe Southern has a 12-game schedule. But just because it's good for Southern doesn't necessarily mean it's good for Jackson State or Grambling. And I can tell you now that maybe the reason why they decided not to necessarily play a 12-game schedule is because maybe it wasn't financially beneficial to play an 11-game schedule. So if you've got an 11, you play in 11 games for whatever the reasons, whatever the rationale may be, the problem could be that, if we play a 12-game schedule, it may not be to our financial benefit to play a 12-game schedule. So you know what? We're going to play 11-game schedule. I understand, but I guess what I'm saying is, man, I think a lot of cats just think that for whatever reason, they think they know more than the administrators do, and they don't. So I just think we just need to just tap the brakes a little bit. Be careful. Every problem isn't an HBCU problem, plain and simple. And I'll just leave it at that. Anything else you guys are going to say before we move on?
I highlight this comment from Soldier Rag, because we talking about non-HBCU alums that talk crazy about HBCUs. This comment right here.
Yeah, I hear you. You're right. You're absolutely right.
We're not above that criticism.
We are, right. And I'm just saying, man, but you got to call them out, though. But I will simply say this, and I'm not making excuses, but these are cats with large platforms. The Roland Martins, the Cam Newtons, the Deion Sanders, and other well-known figures, when they say something, man, they think, well, this person played football, so automatically this person knows what he's talking about. And the thing is that if you just do the research, it's in many instances, it's public knowledge. You are wrong. So, we just need to say, Chris, you said you want to say something.
Yeah, just real quick. We do need to gatekeep. I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
we need to gatekeep. Everybody keeps saying, oh, you can't gatekeep HBCU culture. You can't gatekeep Black culture. The hell we can't. In fact, I would argue that it is essential to our survival that we gatekeep some of this for ourselves, that we insulate and have people who are knowledgeable about HBCUs, about Black culture, about Black life, about how Black people have survived Jim Crow and Nazis and all of that, instead of trying to invite everybody to the damn cookout or whatever, because some of these folks don't know they behind from a hole in the ground. Like, for instance, real quick, I'm sorry. You guys know I'm Storytime Chris, but I had an English professor who I credited in one of my books for helping me find my voice as a writer. This is a white woman who has gone to bat for Donald Trump under every single Facebook status of mine about, the conditions of the day. Now, if you as a white woman are teaching at an HBCU, don't have respect for the people that Donald Trump doesn't have respect for, why are you there? Why were you there? We got to start gatekeeping. I'm sorry. Because there are white people who swear they know stuff about us that they don't, and there are Black people who don't even know about us. And those are the people that we need to stiff arm. We need to hit the Heisman on them hoes. Period. Simple as that. And Christopher Dukes, I ain't gonna put your comment on the screen because I don't want to get nobody in trouble. But 100%,
I know exactly the comment.
100% correct. That simple Simon Bleepity Bleep is part of the problem. And to the institution that hired him, God bless you. That's all I got.
And I just want to say that in response to that about gatekeeping, I feel like there are people who may say things that don't coincide with how HBCUs operate, that it's not malicious to the point where they can be educated. But there are some people that Chris speaks about that, yes, we should give the Heisman to. But it's also a point of we got to stop entertaining negativity. I say this all the time. If I see something I don't like, I'm going to just scroll past it. I'm going to just leave it alone. As long as you ain't talking about somebody that I hold dear to my heart, I'm not going to trip over it. Like, it's the same thing when we were talking about old dude who was saying whatever it was about gay people on HBCU campuses. We're not going to put his name out there, but if you don't know who I'm talking about, good. Like, when we were talking about that, I didn't want to talk about that because it's like he has a voice that I don't care about. And if I don't care about your voice, I don't care about the ignorant things that you have to say, the idiotic things that you have to say. Mm-hmm. That's why a lot of these great sports shows get canceled, because we highlight the negativity, we repost the negativity and say, why are they still on air? Because you're giving them more attention to the people who are actually credible. So, and that's not, again, we're not saying this about Stan. We just happen to be talking about
what he had to
say, and we just disagreed with it.
Right.
He has been someone that he's one. What we can say about him is that he shows up for these events. He's at the MEAC SWAC Challenge. He's at the HBCU Classics. He's at the Celebration Bowl. So this has nothing to do with Stan. It's just sometimes he has opinions that we may disagree with. Now, there are ignorant people that I'm talking about who have never shown their face, who should never show their face, and some conference commissioners have made it a point to make sure their face isn't shown. So I just want to make that clear. It's like we have to stop highlighting the negativity. We disagree with Stan, and we're talking about that. People that we just have, people who have no reason to be talking about HBCUs, we will never talk about them. or we should never talk about them. We did it once. I'm making it a point that we never do it again. So
let me take the moment to share this comment with our member Angela, who has been a huge supporter. How you doing, sister? She says, I agree we have to gatekeep. Do y'all have connections with any administrators who could shed light on the operations of HBCUs? Asking as a parent. Many of the positions that we're taking right now, Angela, is due to our connections with the administrators. They tell us what's going on, privately and publicly. Mm-hmm. But we're calling out certain individuals with platforms who, because, again, the Cam Newtons of the world, the Deion Sanders of the world, and so forth, who've played the sport professionally at the highest level, to make comments about HBCUs that are just inaccurate, are just flat out wrong when there's data and information that can be accessible by just simply going to Google and getting the information, but they ignore it. And because they are viewed as individuals who've played at the highest level, people just automatically assume, especially those who have zero understanding about HBCUs, yeah, that's why I ain't sending my son or daughter no damn HBCU, because of that foolishness right there. And that's the reason why we have to set the record straight for certain individuals. We don't necessarily address all the foolishness. Don't get me wrong. It's not worth the time. But in some cases, it is worth commenting. Okay. So let's move on, man. We finally got an update on the situation concerning Zay Toussaint, the quarterback who was injured in Las Vegas during the Las Vegas Classic, Grambling quarterback who was injured in the game against Jackson State. And you guys may be aware that he was carted off the field, and he clearly it was a severe problem, because for the rest of the season, those of us in the media, people on social media, were all asking, "Can you give us any update on Toussaint or Zay Toussaint, and any updates?" And as we knew then, as was told by Coach Mickey Joseph, Dr. Travion Scott, administrators, for the most part, and understandably so, his mother, and I guess, they didn't want those details to be released to the public. And I guess HIPAA laws being what they are, you have to respect those. And as of earlier this week, Toussaint created a GoFundMe account because it appears that he is now back home in Baton Rouge. And he is now, he has a GoFundMe account. Right now, I think they are trying to raise $100,000. And I believe at last I checked, it was at $30,000. And indicated that he needed to, obviously there's continued rehabbing that's going to be required. He's going to have to, I guess, retrofit the house, to accommodate, accessibility and so forth. But he, as he indicated, is improving, and it's been a long road to recovery, and it's going to be a long road. And so, as we do, and we posted the link, and guys, if you guys can put that link out there in the in the chat or in the comments for anyone who might want to donate, or they can at least know where his GoFundMe page is, by all means do so. So as I understand it, here's what I want to be careful in providing some details. As I understand it, Toussaint and his mother and his family, I think for the entire time, they were in Las Vegas for the entire time up until about a month or two ago. The entire time. And there were people who were talking about, well, who's going to, cover costs and all of the expenses associated with the extended stay and all this other stuff. And people were talking about, insurance benefits with Grambling and the NCAA. I had all these questions being thrown at me. And I obviously couldn't say anything because I didn't know anything. The only other thing that I can share with you guys is this was that as long as they were there, I am told that the Las Vegas Raiders stepped up and pretty much did whatever they could to support T-Set and his mom. So that's all I can report. And the good news is he's home. It's going to be a long road to recovery from what was posted. And if you guys can, man, support this brother. And you know, this is not just a Grambling thing, and this is, as someone indicated, man. You know, HBCUs, this is one of those times, man, where we step up. But in the sake of humanity, you don't necessarily have to be from an HBCU to support this cause. So by all means, click on that link, support the effort. And Zay and Imam, we're praying for you. Reach out to us, whatever we can do to support. And I've reached out to them personally. I've not heard back from them, but I've told them, or I've tried to communicate that we will do what we can, whatever we can, to support whatever it is that they need. All right. All right. One other note about this game, because there were talks about, you know, the possibility of Grambling and Jackson State. As of now, according to both of the schedules released by Grambling and Jackson State, the game is scheduled to be played in Grambling, I believe is October 10th, if I'm not mistaken. And as I understand it, while there's nothing official yet, because there were some who were actually stating that people that I know who like, they know some stuff. They were saying that, look, as far as we're concerned, we're going to try to run this back, and we want Grambling and Jackson State to come back again next year. As of now, that is not official. However, I was told that as it stands right now, the Raiders have left that date open in the event the schools decide to play. I don't know all what's required. I used to be of the belief that if the home team, if you know, the home team had a say, I don't know. I don't know what the conference bylaws are with respect to moving a game to a neutral site. I guess maybe both teams have to agree, but as I understand it, last year, Jackson State obviously was the home team. They had the benefit of getting the gate, whereas Grambling, who was the visiting team, had the benefit of, you know, no, you don't get the gate, but guess what? We're going to take care of your expenses to get here. So you're not going to have to come out of pocket either. So it's a win-win for both schools. Whereas had that game been played in Jackson last year, obviously Jackson would have gotten his gate and Grambling would have had to pay for its expenses to get to Grambling. So that's kind of where I'm thinking in this case, Grambling is the home team this year, and it would be kind of like a flip, and they can just rerun it. Grambling would get the gate. Expenses for Jackson State's travel would be taken care of. They wouldn't have to come out of the pocket for making that trip to Grambling and so forth. So you know what I'm saying. But as I understand it now, as it stands for now, that gate, that date is open if they want to play it. But it ultimately is going to be up to the two schools to determine whether or not they want to play that. So that's what I was told. As my man would say, situation is fluid. Situation is fluid. So we'll leave it at that. You guys got anything y'all want to say about that, man? Any final thoughts?
Really just, you know, it's an unfortunate thing. I mean, we're definitely wishing Zay and his family all the best. You know, just, you hate to see it. I mean, because, you know, being so young and having something like this happen, it really resets your entire life. Like, you guys can read the GoFundMe. We put the link in the description. I'll put it up on the screen really, really quickly for anybody who wants to go read what Zay wrote. But, you know, we just wish the best for that young man and his family, and we hate to see that it happen. But if we all pull together, because Tom Joyner said this, one thing about HBCUs is we all help each other. So hopefully we can help this young man, you know, get back to whatever normal his life is going to be post-injury.
And all I have to say about it is, and I say this all the time when it comes to the game of football, do not ever take for granted seeing football players walk on and be able to walk off the field under their own power.
Amen. Yep.
Yes.
That is more of a blessing than we realize.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things in life that we take for granted, but that is one of those things. So I understand we root for who we want to root for. We have some of our favorite players. We have players that we're not the most likable, don't have the best liking to, but do not ever take for granted them be able to walk on and walk off under their own power, because some get carted off.
Mm-hmm.
Some get taken off on an ambulance. Some have to be assisted off. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
All right. So final topic of the night, of the day, and you guys know we take care of the news first, and we tend to get on what we call an off topic that isn't necessarily related to HBCUs. It's not necessarily related to sports. And believe it or not, we probably spend more time discussing off topic than we actually do the news. That's kind of the easy part, you know?
Yeah.
That's the easy part. But we, Chris likes to keep it friendly. I'm the one that's like, look, no, we need to talk about this, even if it is heavy, so we got, it all depends, I want something light. I want something heavy. I'm like, no, I want something that is impactful, and I think we all mutually agreed to come to. I will say this though. We did talk about the Obama situation and the ape photo. Then you guys saw that, but we're not going to talk about that. So we decided to keep it light. Okay, so just so you guys know, I don't need anybody sending the same thing. I thought this was HBCU Sports. Like, yeah, look, man, we deal with culture, we deal with news. Okay, this is sports. Okay, so we had a pre-show meeting because we wanted to broach on this subject carefully. And we was like, we don't want to come down on this person. I was like, no, we're not coming down on this person. We just want to ask the question, and we want to ask those people watching the stream what they feel about it. And the question is this appropriate for work? Now, I didn't know anything about this. I didn't. But because my man Jared Hoffman, being the reporter that he is, because he's investigative. He's got investigative tendencies. It just comes with the job. And Jared, because he knew how we were, he goes, "Hey, yeah, dear, I'm telling the origin of the story, Jared. They got to know the details, man. Details matter. Should we talk about this for an off topic?" And I'm thinking, who is this? But he didn't have to say anything because I already knew what the topic was. So all I just wanted to know is who it was. So the question is, this lady, of course, I'm a married man, okay? And I just want to say this in the event that she's watching, baby, because this is an investigative piece, and I needed to make sure that I was aware of this subject matter to talk about it. I did go to her Instagram page.
And shouts out to Stephen Campbell, man. You already know, man.
Exactly.
Hey, look,
my man Stephen, no. Yeah. Look, that Stephen, I swear to you, bro, that literally was another issue too. I'm like, look, we need to tread carefully here. But there was a bit of research required. I didn't know who this person was, man. Look, I'm in my 50s. It's impossible for me to know all of these things. And so, Adrian, I'm going to just tell you now, you know what? I'm going to just keep it real. Because when I first saw it, that's exactly what I said. Damn. Okay. So anyway, all right. See, I'm supposed to be trading. I'm supposed to be treading lightly. But anyway, yeah, I went to our IG page. And I see that this young lady is a journalist. And she's not new to this. But for whatever reason, this outfit that she's wearing right now, I don't know, I guess it's safe to say, fellas, came under scrutiny. So I guess the question is, yep. Oh, by the way, see, Stephen, you've been doing your you've been investigating too, because I didn't know she went to Clark. Guess what? Guess who knew? Jared knew. But anyway.
Hey man. Hey. Enough about Jared.
Lord have mercy.
Fellas, what are your thoughts? Is this outfit appropriate for the workspace or for the workplace?
Soldier Rag, you ain't lying, bro.
This topic is like playing Minesweeper on night. Look, man, look, I'm
saying Minesweeper, solitaire, pinball, all of it.
All I will say is this. Sports writers, I've been in this business going on 25 years. And we have the reputation of being the most poorly dressed people in the newsroom. And I ain't gonna lie to you. I live up to that reputation. I never wore suits and ties to pressers. I wore jeans, khakis, and golf shirts and sneakers every time I've been to a sporting event. So I'm not going to sit here and say that Generica Owens is poorly dressed. That's not the thing. I think what it is I think people are so used to women being one way in terms of their body build, their composition, that a curvy woman throws everybody's frame of mind completely off. And it's crazy because Erin Andrews had like this really like expensive looking mink coat. Like I forget who it was who said that looked like the coat that Frank Lucas got caught up with in American Gangster. But that's the kind of coat that Erin Andrews had on. And everybody was so hyped about that damn coat. And I'm like, I feel like that coat is kind of extra. I mean, yeah, it's cold, but you don't need to be looking like, Steve Harvey, hat on, suit on, looking like a Dapper Dawn in the mall. Right. No, I mean, okay, yeah, but I mean, I think people are just so thrown off that, this is a curvy woman, this is an attractive woman. And the thing that, you're going to get a lot of, backlash about is that everybody seems to think women only exist to, be looked at by men. And granted, people might argue that the shorts are too short, or I saw somebody on Twitter say if she had a bra on or a shirt on, it's a whole different conversation. I don't know enough about this woman to say how she dresses on a regular basis.
Yep.
But I mean, it's something that I'm just not really invested in. I mean, I think there are worse things in journalism to talk about, like Jeff Bezos killing the entire sports section.
Yeah. That was also full disclosure. That was also another option that we were considering with respect to the off topic. So go ahead, Chris. Sorry about that.
And yeah, Stephen, and mind you, I'm a Pam Oliver stan. I will fight on the hill of leave Pam Oliver the bleep alone every single time. If I met Pam Oliver, I would faint. That's how big of a fan I am of Pam Oliver. So people keep messing with her about her hair. Don't talk to me about her hair, because I'm gonna talk about your mom instead. But there's so much.
But you know what, man?
Worried about them while this woman is dressing.
Seriously, and I'm dead serious about this, because I remember when we, during the Potathon, we had the subject with Flood when he was on with Reggie Flood. And in this particular instance, I don't know who brought this up. And seriously, in all seriousness, I went to this person's IG account because when I realized that she was a journalist or she had been working in the space, I went there to see, okay, is this something new or is this something trendy or whatever the case may be? And to be quite honest with you, everything that I've seen in those photos, and there were photos of her or videos of her or reels of her working in the workplace, interviewing people with, all I will say is it appeared that everything was consistent with what she has on right now. And I want to be really careful not to necessarily focus this on race or by color, but for whatever reason, this conversation always, and feel free to correct me in the chat, I don't really ever see this conversation coming up about white women. It's always about the sisters.
Because I've seen some of them IG reporters that have worn things 10 times worse than this.
That's what I'm saying. But Chris, and you said this, because of just the DNA of sisters are, they're curvy, which, newsflash, Black America, brothers who date Black women, nothing against those who don't, but they like curvy women. It's appreciated. Okay.
Respectfully.
But I say all that to say that, what you say, Chris?
Respectfully, it is.
Yeah. So, but this never really, this issue never comes up. And the thing is, it's not just with journalists. I think there were like stories here, and I'm sure the stories like this about even how Black school teachers teach in what they wear in the classroom. And because the teachers got on some tight jeans or maybe a sweater, very appropriate, but because the person is curvy, it's an issue, or whether or not what she has on is appropriate for the workplace. So I will just simply say this, and I'm being as honest. I made all the jokes, but I personally, just kind of how we are right now with attire in the workplace, it's all suitable to your taste, but I've seen worse. And personally, based upon what I've seen in her IG photos and some of the things, she's been pretty consistent in terms of what she wears. I don't see a problem with it. That's just me. It's just me.
If you go to her social medias, she has plenty of outfits that are covered up. She's worn pants, suits. She's worn, what is it? The dresses, the full length dresses. I forget the name of them.
Yeah.
The cardigan dress things. Like she's worn a variety of different. But the reason why I was suggesting talking about this is because like there was a lot of people who were responding to this and saying, she know what she doing, and she trying to leave with a man after this. And it's like,
I saw that. That was crazy. Yeah, I saw that.
That's the main thing that I was thinking about when I was speaking about it. It's like women, when we always say don't police women, we don't, tell them what they can do with their bodies and stuff like that. And a lot of men feel like they're conforming with that when they're really not, because saying things like, she dressing like that because she looking for a man.
He's looking for a man.
It's the exact thing that they're talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, traditional journalists, they tell you that they have certain guidelines in terms of what you wear when on air, what you wear at these press conferences. So if we're talking about what traditional journalism standards are, they may look at this and say, well, this may not be as acceptable. They may not accept this in the newsroom. They may not accept this in a press conference, which fair. If a station has set their standard for what you wear in the newsroom, for what you wear in a presser, then that's fine. But she is an independent journalist at the end of the day.
Yep.
She and a very good one, by the way.
Yep.
Because we've seen her work a variety of events. You see, she at the Super Bowl. She's doing something right.
Yep.
So I just don't like the notion that a woman like herself, who is a very good professional at what she is doing, and we're limiting her to, she just looking for a man. She looking for some. I've seen somebody say, she looking for somebody to retire her, as if to say she wants somebody to be basically her sugar daddy.
Yeah.
And that's the type of stuff that I was thinking about when I was asking about if we should discuss this. Is like that narrative of surrounding women in this business, that all they're doing is looking for a man, and it's the same discourse that Taylor Rooks gets in a way. She doesn't get the attire discourse. She gets the discourse of, she's a beautiful woman in this business, and a lot of men they just doing interviews with her because she's a beautiful woman. They can't help that they're beautiful. God did that.
Yep.
God did that. What we can't help that there's so many black women in this business that are just beautiful. We can't help that.
Man, talk about it.
We can't help that. The question
is, Jared, why would we want to?
Exactly. Why would we Why would
Look a
we
gift horse in the
question
mouth.
the blessing that God has given us on this earth?
Amen.
You know what I mean? So, like, and by the way, if all she was beautiful, and that's how she got these interviews, then there will be a lot more beautiful women who will be in this business.
She got skills.
Exactly.
Like I said, I saw some of the clips. She ain't new to this, and it ain't just about looks.
And she has been grinding, by the way.
Yeah,
she has been grinding, working from. You can't be an independent journalist and then on your way to the Super Bowl 7 years, however many years she's been in this business later, if you ain't good.
Right.
Ain't too many independent journalists who are able to get into those rooms.
Let me. I think this is a very. Stephen, you on it today, brother. I got to show this. He says, Ken, when we were coming up through 25, 30 years ago, you guys wouldn't dare wear T-shirts and hoodies on camera. Nope. Things have changed. You guys are very careful. Jared Hoffman's got on a hoodie. Chris Stevens got on a T-shirt. I got on a T-shirt. Ain't no way in the world. 25, 30 years ago, we were going to a press box or to a game, regardless of the sport, dressed like this. And we see people dressed like this all the time. And meanwhile, it could be argued that the sisters, the women, probably are more professionally dressed than we are when we go to the same events.
Yes.
And I'm going to even take it a step further, because the sisters would probably be criticized even more if they weren't. Mm-hmm. And it would be nothing wrong with what they've had on.
Because I could tell you, I mean, I've, just been around, because with the whole Deshaun Jackson thing in Delaware State, there are going to be interested parties from different areas. I mean, we've had local women reporters from the CBS affiliate, the ABC affiliate, the NBC affiliate. I know Mia Berry from Anscape came to a few games. I mean,
yep.
And these women were professionally dressed.
Yes.
And here I am. I'm wearing a Prince Purple Rain shirt and jeans. And it's like, okay, maybe I do need to class it up a little bit. So, women, it's unfortunate that women have to adhere to a certain standard, but when they do dress up, they are always professional. Like, I've never been in a press box. It's not for me to do, because that's not the reason I'm there anyway. I'm there to cover a football game or a basketball game. But I've never looked at another woman, at a woman reporter and say, wow, that's an interesting choice of outfit. I'm just like, hey, we all here trying to get these same damn stories. So, did you see that play? Oh, wow. That was an interesting play call. Okay, so who are we talking to after this game? That's it. That's really it.
I gotta post this again with Silas. He said talking about Coach Don Thornton at Alabama A&M.
I was just about to mention
basketball team is often criticized for her. Basketball team is often criticized for her outfits on game day. Man, let me tell y'all something about Don Thornton, man. I love me some Don Thornton. Probably because she don't give two F's about what y'all think about what she has on.
Not a one. And
Matter of fact, let me tell you how cold-blooded. I don't know if y'all remember this, and she may have done this before. Coach Thornton is so cold-blooded. I remember, was it last year? It may have been during the SWAC tournament. She came out in an outfit first half, came back in the second half in a different outfit.
And by the way, she's been dressing like that since she was at UAPB.
Came in the second half with a different outfit. That is a person who is like, yeah, I did it. And if you want to talk, in other words, I'm going to give you something to talk about.
Let's give them something.
And you know what? And while you do it, if I have it my way, and I'm going to give you this L in the process.
Yep.
So all I would simply say is, look, man, great example. Because when I tell you she is unapologetically her and I love it and I am here for it, I am here for it. So final thoughts, guys. We're going to wrap this up.
Real quick, I just want to address this comment by A&T Roy where he asks, would it be okay if she was your wife? First of all, I wholeheartedly agree with Stephen Campbell's response. That shouldn't matter. But let's just say, for the sake of argument, this was my wife. If I'm insecure to the point where I have to police my wife on what she's wearing when she goes out, I don't need to be married to her. That's the first thing. Second thing is if I am not your boss, if I am not your station manager, what you wear at these pressers, even especially with me knowing that you are a credible journalist, is none of my business.
Yep.
If there's a station manager that she works for that says this is not appropriate, you need to wear a pantsuit, or if you're going to wear a skirt, it needs to be knee length, then that is on that station manager, and it's on her to say, I don't want to work for this station no more. But that's not a problem in this situation.
Yep.
She is an independent journalist who has been doing good work for years. So there should not be anything about this being inappropriate retire, because she works for herself. She is in charge of her own brand. And if she feels like this is appropriate for her, then that's fine. And cut out all this stuff about, oh, she just looking for a man. Oh, she wants somebody to retire her. Cut it out for her. Cut it out for all the other women that y'all do it with. And cut out whenever we agree with a woman in any situation, we just try and smash them. Can we stop that?
Oh God, that is so annoying.
Can we just not agree with
that
women?
Is so annoying, man. These dudes keep saying she's not gonna let you hit, little bro. We don't care. We don't care. We don't. And Kendrick, man, if you don't get your butt on this call sometimes, man, coming in the chat talking about this don't seem like, get your ass on here and say it don't seem like.
And use your own account to make a comment.
Please.
We're using our account.
Yeah. Anyway. Oh, someone says someone is saying this is totally inappropriate dress, more professional. Okay.
Hey, that's your opinion.
And that's your opinion. And we knew that everyone wouldn't agree. And for the person who asked me if I would let my wife go out and dress like that, let me just simply say this, man. My wife is more seasoned and probably wouldn't wear this. But as Jared alluded earlier, I don't police my wife on terms of what she should and shouldn't wear professionally. I don't. That's not a problem that I've ever had to face. If this were my daughter, I think my answer would be the same way. Now, don't get me wrong. Now, there are some instances where I've seen sisters out in certain situations or in the workplace where I would just simply say that is not appropriate. And my wife has said the same thing. Matter of fact, though, I'll get her opinion on this because I don't think she's seen this yet. And I will ask her what she thinks. So, Peggy, I appreciate your comment because I'm pretty certain, and we saw the comments on social media, there are people who don't necessarily agree that this is appropriate for the workplace. But I just simply go back to the fact that if this isn't appropriate, then what about some of the stuff she's worn in the past based on her IG? Would you say the same thing about some of the outfits she's had on previously? I'm just saying. And I don't recall any of those pictures or photos or reels going viral. So I'm just saying. All right.
And let me just say this real quick. Let me not that.
Man, we all have limits. No,
yeah.
But yeah.
Not that comment.
We all got limits, you know.
He says, Jared, your comment shows you're not married. Sir, my name is on the screen, and you still spelled it wrong. Hold on, let me take this picture down real quick. My name is literally on the screen, sir. I don't care. Sure. My comment shows I'm not married. That's fine. How do you not know how to spell my name? And it was on the screen for many minutes on this video.
Oh man.
If you didn't see my name and you just didn't know how to spell it, cool, you were just guessing. It has been on the screen for many minutes during this video. There is no excuse for you to not know how to spell it. Come on, bruh. And there are many videos on this channel that spells my name right. And you still chose to spell it wrong. Y'all know good and well I wasn't going to comment on him saying that.
Oh my God. That's what we're going to end the show, man.
Oh boy.
Chris, do that thing that you do, bro.
Oh boy, what a Friday it has been. Ladies and gentlemen, we thank y'all for tuning in to this edition of HBCU Sports Live. We appreciate y'all as always. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, become a level 1 or level 2 member. For $4.99 a month, you can get all the Black college sports news that is fit to print and broadcast as we like to give it to you. If you would like to donate, we do accept super chats while we're on the air. We want to thank Mr. 32K for dropping us a super chat earlier, but whenever we're on the air, you can drop a super chat, whether it's $5, $10, or if you got like Mackenzie Scott, 20 million is cool. If you want to donate through Cash App, you can go to Cash App, $HBCU Sports. If you want to go through the Zelle app, donate at HBCUsports.com, donate that way. Or you can go directly to the website, HBCUsports.com/donate. Also, be sure to follow us on all manners of social media. We're on the Musty app, that's Twitter, TikTok, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, you name it, we are there. Thank you guys for kicking it with us on this Friday, and please enjoy your weekend. I'm going to get some more cold medicine and get back under these covers, and hopefully I'll be better next week.
We gone. That was good, man.